Hi, I'm Donald Watts, and I'm sharing with you your role as a parent for establishing a growth mindset. So, you have a kid that's participating in youth sports. It can be very challenging. And what we're going to do here today is teach you, the parent, how to make sure that your kid is getting out of the experience what is going to help it be a valuable lesson for a lifetime. And that number one key ingredient that we all want our kids to establish, and that we, the parent, are ultimately responsible for, whether we realize it or not, is establishing a growth mindset in your child. Well, my first introduction into sports, I played recreational basketball. My father, the Seattle Supersonics, we played on a team and we did not win a game the entire season. But we did a lot of skill work. Coach Slick Watts was always positive with us, talking to us about growth, talking to us about what we need to do next as a team. But then me as his child, he always framed winning and losing the right way and always put his attention on development and what I needed to do next to improve. So the next time that I was in that same situation, it would be better. And a magical thing happened. We went to the playoffs. We were a winless team playing against an undefeated team. That undefeated team took us for granted in the first round. We knocked them off, went on to win the league championship. And that laid the platform for my entire sports experience. Not the fact that we won, but the way I was coached from a parenting perspective. Not the fact that he was my coach, because it wasn't the things that were at practice that were the most critical elements. It was the conversations that we had in the car, the way that we talked about things when I was disappointed, how I was going to change those outcomes, how long it would take to change those outcomes, and how much I was willing to invest in it. So here are a couple things that I was given that I want you to make sure you give your child. Here are the keys to establishing a growth mindset. Number one, we want to learn from every single experience you have. So win, lose, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you learn. Number two, everything that we put our heart, everything that we do, we want to do with passion and effort. We want to have a fearlessness about our approach to what we do. We want to do it with passion and effort and pour our hearts and souls into it without the fear of making mistakes or losing, with the understanding that that's just a part of the process. Number three, we want to embrace those very mistakes that we make. We want to identify them and then work on them as our weaknesses and to develop them into strengths. That's the real value of the youth sports experience. It's not in winning every game or hanging a championship every time, but it's in learning from every situation, being honest about identifying where your weaknesses are, not running from them, but identifying them and embracing them and working them. Here's what you do as a parent. There are three questions I always want you to ask your kids after every situation. What did you learn? What did you learn from the experience? Not did you win or did you lose, but what did you learn? And encourage them to have open conversation. You want to hear a dialogue about what your kid learns. A personal experience for me, you know, we have kids, they don't like to talk. I have a teenager, I pick them up from school. How'd you do in school? Good. What'd you learn? Nothing. Well, that's not good, right? And we all hear that from our kids. My son was actually struggling in school. But then I knew things had changed when he got in the car and he said to me, you know what, Dad? I struggled on this test, instead of just saying, good. I was pleased that he was honest with himself and honest with me. And then we were able to get him help to talk about what the plan is to increase his study habits and things like that. But he was owning it and taking personal accountability and responsibility. And for me as a parent, that was just the biggest blessing ever. And that's what we want our kids to get out of every experience, especially our sports experience. And then we want them to carry over into all of their life's experience. The number two question is, how'd you feel about your effort? Did you give a maximum effort? It requires maximum effort to get maximum learning from any experience. So when the kid makes excuses, yeah, but, or whatever, there is no excuse. There is no legitimate excuse not to give a great effort. Well, the referee did this, or the coach did this, or he said that. All of those things are things that we can't control. But what we can control, and I want you to encourage your kids to control, is their effort. The question number 3 is, what do you feel like from that experience that you really need to improve on? And this is one of the things I get as, Watts Basketball, Game Changers for Life. We do training, we do camps, we do all that fun stuff. I get parents calling me all the time. They say, hey, my son needs to work on this. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. And the first thing I do when I sit down with the son or the daughter is say, hey, what do you feel like you need to improve on? Well, my dad says that you're in the wrong place if it's your dad says. But when your kid takes ownership of what they need to do or what they feel like they need to do or they want to do, then the improvement, the experience skyrockets, and you have done a great job as a parent of establishing a growth mindset. So I'm Donald Watts, Watts Basketball. These are Game Changers for Life.